Testing. Can anyone hear me? Hotchkiss to Earth. Come in, Earth. Oh, okay. I think we're rolling. Now, let's get a look at these hallways. So rich in detail. You'd never know this place was built in 1920. It's all so 18th C. Oh, and there's Marie. I feel so close to her, just being here. It's as if her spirit is in the air. Oh, what's this? It appears to be some kind of peephole. But what, pray, does it peep upon? Shall I peep? La la, I do believe I'll peep. The beauty, the colors. So this is what Helga told me to look for. Where's my medallion? It fits! Note to self, high five Team Hotchkiss. And what's this? A message? Eureka! It says the diamond, sweet as the smell of fried chicken. Yes, hello? Is that Jacques with my boots? That must be my boots at last! Ugh! Virginia Woolf never endured such interruptions. Who is it? Is that my couscous already? Did you get the menu? Is that you, Brandy? Not now, please. I'm trying to think. Unless you've decided to help me. Yes. Did you find the information I asked you for? Oh, good. Boots, fine. Thank you. Everything is fine. Just leave the boots at the door, please. Yeah. Oh, and it seems I'm out of change. I'll just have to tip you the next time, Mandy. Questions, yes, and proper introduction sounds lovely, but not now, maybe later. Everything's under control, dear. Nothing to report. Thank you for my boots. My poor feet have been feeling so exposed. Beep! Professor Hotchkiss is not available at this time. Thank you and goodbye. Beep! Ha ha ha! Very funny. Now, vamoose, and let me work. Oh, hard to think of food candy when I'm riding the raging rapids of my theory. Oh, right now, I have plenty of pre-packaged energy globules to keep me going. But tell Baxter that I am developing a powerful craving for couscous. Yes, couscous for dinner would be splendid. Well, I don't have a menu. At least not from this hotel. Oh, be a doll and fetch me one, will you, ta-ta? Oh, can't talk now, dear. The energy globules have brought on a carbo rush. I'm a little out of my head, desperate for protein all of a sudden. You toy with me while my belly rumbles? Why? Why? My blood sugar plummets. Please see to my dinner. Get with the program here, Brandy. I need sustenance, nourishment. G-R-U-B. Oh, I'm glad you're here. At the moment, my theory is rising like a magnificent soufflé. I need to collect a few more ingredients, if you will, but it's a delicate situation. If I leave my room even for a moment, I fear the soufflé will come crashing down in a heap. Oh, don't take me too literally, dear. What I need is some information about the castle. Hard numbers. I've come to the conclusion that you are an enterprising and faithful soul. Therefore, I have decided to entrust you with this important mission. I see. Well, I don't suppose we have anything further to discuss. Goodbye. Marvelous! Here's what I need to know. Not counting the towers, how many windows are there on the face of the castle? How many dead-end doorways does the castle have? On what date was the Bastille prison destroyed during the French Revolution? What is the model number on the elevator? How many days before her 38th birthday was Marie Antoinette executed? How many points are there on the rose compass on the floor of the lobby? How old was Marie Antoinette when she married King Louis? I'll be very eager to hear what you come up with. But please, don't disturb me unless you have the answer. Good, but I need you to write it down so I don't forget. Now, please write your answer and slip it under the door. Thank you. Let me do some calculations to see if this is correct. No, that can't be it. It doesn't fit my calculations. You'll need to try again. Please, Mandy. I thought I said don't come back without some answers. Well, what are you waiting for? Some kind of planetary alignment? Get to work! The early bird does not dilly-dally, dear. She catches the worm. You want the worm, don't you, Candy? Now, chop, chop. You're holding up the show here, Sandy. Now, bring me the data. Oh, you're gumming up the works here, Brandy. I need that number to proceed. I can't seem to find that one. Well, here's another one. That's okay. There's something more pressing now anyway. Allow me to refresh your memory. You're lucky I don't mind repeating myself. Now, are you listening? Eureka! If there's one thing I like in a young person, it's ingenuity. Now, I've got work to do. Time to stir the cauldron and stoke the fire. But if you'd like to talk, I'll be holding office hours in the lobby between 3 and 6 a.m. Meet me then. Eureka! If there's one thing I like in a young person, it's ingenuity. Now, I've got work to do. Time to stir the cauldron and stoke the fire. But if you'd like to talk, I'll be holding office hours in the lobby between 3 and 6 a.m. Meet me then. Oh, you're a sneaky one. Just slip it under the door, please. Nice and easy. No funny stuff. Baby back ribs, yes. Oh, chili cheese dog, fried bologna sandwich. I'm not usually much of a meat eater, but, very well. 50 drumsticks, please. Chicken, that is. Cluck, cluck. Who knows? If you succeed, I might whisk you away from the hotel business to be my personal research assistant. I'll have a nice tip for you next time, Fanny. Rock and roll, dear. Nancy, dear, welcome to the witching hour. Isn't it marvelous to be up and about when others are sound asleep? I find my brainwaves are at their most powerful during this time. Hello, my fellow night owl. Or perhaps I should say hoot hoot. Ooh. Did you find anything of interest in my room? Yes, dear. I'm so glad you stopped by. I've translated the entire journal. It's fabulous. And as an added bonus, it includes Marie's official decoder, something no one else has ever found before. Hello there. Oh, it's so exciting about your discovery. I wonder what it will lead to. Hi there, Nancy. Well, you probably know by now that I'm a scholar of French history. My specialty is Marie Antoinette. Oh, poor Marie, the most misunderstood queen of the 18th century. Marie used to visit the very tower that now belongs to this castle. Oh, if you're really interested, why don't you go up to my room and have a look around yourself? You've been such a great help to me, almost like an apprentice. Oh, I've always wanted an apprentice. I insist. Your mind is like a ravenous monkey gobbling up every banana in its path. Oh, how can I stand in the way? Here's my extra pass key. I get back to work at 6 a.m. sharp, so just make sure you vacate the premises by 5:59 and put things back where you find them. It's all scientifically organized in there. You're right on that. This is the only time that someone could break into my room. But why are you so interested in this robbery anyway? I'd like to tell you more about the robbery, but I'm afraid it just wouldn't be good for my blood pressure. I'm traumatized, you see, because the stolen item was a keepsake from a dear friend, and it was a cornerstone of my theory. I'm sure you understand. Clues, you say? I guess I haven't really looked. Oh, I've been utterly embroiled in my work. Of course not. Pop in all you like, just not when I'm working. I see. Well, suit yourself, but please don't expect me to entertain you with idle chit-chat. All right then, bye-bye. I'm still working on it, but you're more than welcome to examine it while I'm not in my room. I'm convinced that this place holds evidence that will forever change the way the world views Marie. But the walls have ears, so I'd rather not say any more right now. Let's see. Well, espoir is hope, and chercher is to search. Hope to those who search. Now, where the heck have I seen that phrase before? Well, anyway, it means the diamond of misery in my journal. Well, trouver is to find, And solution is just like it sounds. Solution. The solution is found within. Everyone thought Marie did nothing but spend France's money on jewels and fancy soap for herself, while her people were starving. History books have upheld the myth that she was just a spoiled and heartless brat, but I don't believe it. I believe that she's been the victim of vicious rumors and lazy historians for too long, and that if the real story could be told, people would realize that Marie Antoinette was actually a good woman who wanted to help her people but didn't know how. The infamous tiara, of course. Oh, people thought Marie had this extravagant piece commissioned for herself, and they hated her for it. But really, it was her husband, King Louis XVI, who had it made for her birthday. It was never found. There were rumors that she had it destroyed, but no one has ever been able to prove this. Heavens, no! Where did you hear such a thing? My medallion had a green stone in it. Anything else would be a mere imposter. A flaming faker, do you hear me? That Leslie, yes, oh, a real dynamo, but... Oh, I told Chester that I would not require any maid service during my stay. I don't know why she didn't get the message. What? Let me see that. Nancy, I must warn you. I'll wrestle you for this if I have to, and it won't be pretty. Absolutely, I'll get to work on it right away. I'll have the translation ready in my room for you this time tomorrow. Until then, I mustn't be disturbed. Oh, she didn't want it. Refused to wear it. And then, a few months before the revolution broke out, the tiara disappeared. This is it. I've been trying to track this down for 15 years. Where on earth did you find it? Righto. Goodbye. Watch out for weird people. Nancy, this is your mentor speaking. Things are looking uncommonly out of sorts in here. I just hope I haven't had another intruder. Please remember that passkey I gave you is not for sharing. Oh, what's this? It appears to be some kind of peephole. But what, pray, does it peep upon? Shall I peep? La la, I do believe I'll peep.
Yes, hello. I am she. Nancy Drew. Your name has a ring to it. Do I know you? Yes, hello. Who is this? Nancy Drew. Are you sure you're not the cheese girl? Of course. Let her rip. Who is it? Yes? Oh, yes. You were the delightful young lady doling out the samples in the tasting room of that cheese factory. Yum, yum. That's ridiculous. There was no cheese tasting room at Wickford Castle. Thanks to you, suddenly all I can think about is how wonderful a nice big slab of Colby cheese would taste right now. Listen, Mandy, I'm on a deadline, so if you could please just tell me why you called.
But my name isn't...
Deadline! Let's cut to the chase, shall we? Chop, chop. Ah, now there's a name you can remember. Bolet. Nice and French. I'm a scholar of French history, you know. Indeed he did. Oui, oui. Because he had read my book, of course. 2, perhaps 3 years ago, he had just read my book, The Crystal Skulls. Fact or fable, one of my best efforts. Sold like hotcakes, smothered in a rich, tangy lemon sauce. I would have hung up on him straight away if he had. I tell you, Brandy, if I had $1 for every crackpot who's called claiming to own one of those skulls, I'd be able to dine at the Russian tea room every evening for the rest of my life. All right, that's a bit of hyperbole, but you get the picture. No... If memory serves, we talked mostly about the skull called the Whisperer. He wanted to know if I had learned any more about it since my book was published, which I hadn't, or if I had any theory as to what happened to it, which I didn't. Well, now, let me think. My, such insatiable curiosity, Nellie. You remind me of someone I encountered on one of my journeys. But for the life of me, I cannot remember her name or the circumstances. Ah! The eyes have it. That's what Bruno Bolet said when I turned the tables and asked him if he had any idea where the Whisperer was. He said, the eyes have it. Then he chuckled and hung up. In this crazy day and age, where the shorn hair and used tissues of celebrities get sold for thousands of dollars, there's absolutely no telling, Candy. $500,000 easily. Maybe even 1,000,000. Maybe 2. Maybe 10. The sky's the limit. Cha-ching, cha-ching. Wonderful question, Francie. How indeed? Because there are sure to be thousands of fakes out there. Perhaps tens of thousands. But remember, the real skulls were made long before the tools commonly used for carving today were invented. Which means, let's put on our thinking caps. Exactly so. Would that crystal contained carbon? Because if it did, carbon dating could be used to determine its age, much like carbon dating is employed to determine the age of bones and religious relics. But what is crystal? Quartz. What is quartz? Silicon dioxide. No carbon. No carbon? No carbon dating. No, to determine a crystal skull's authenticity, you must examine it for marks left behind by modern-day tools. Mind you, the marks on a good fake would be microscopic and thus imperceptible to the human eye. However, any thorough laboratory analysis would quickly unmask a counterfeit. And by examining its provenance, its history of ownership, if it can be shown that a particular specimen has been passed along from antiquity into modern times and didn't just suddenly appear in, say, Germany in the mid-19th century, that would tend to support its authenticity as well. I believe that things that defy any so-called rational explanations happen all the time, Nessie. Now, does that mean there are mysterious external forces at work in the universe of which we do not and cannot ever have full knowledge? Or does it all boil down to us? If the human heart desperately wants something to be true, does the human mind have the power to make it true? Who knows? Questions, questions, questions. How dreary life would be without them. A crew named after the skull and crossbones flag flown by European and American pirates? How so very colorful! Yo-ho-ho! Why do you ask? Had the Whisperer fallen into the hands of pirates, I promise you my research would have turned up that fact. But it didn't. Therefore, no relationship. Coincidence strikes again. Are you saying the Whisperer was in his possession after all? The scallywag! Why didn't he tell me that? Oh, that's right, I would have hung up on him. Well, if that's the case, then I strongly suggest you take a close look at his so-called heart attack, Sandy, because if he owned the skull and he died, I guarantee you it was at the hands of someone else. Or my name's not Beatrice Gertrude Winifred Hotchkiss. Good luck to you, dear. Rock and roll. Toodaloo. You've reached the home office of Professor Beatrice Hotchkiss. I've called it a day, and since I hate returning phone calls, mostly because people rattle off their numbers so fast that I never write them down correctly, just call me back later. Ta-ta! Great! I need you to do some searching for me. I've decided to restart my book project. Can you gather some information for me? Great! Who is above all the doors in the main antechamber? Thank you. Hotchkiss, leave a message. Hello? Yes? Ahoy, hoy. Hi, Hotchkiss here. Oh, Francine, dear, I'm so glad you called. I've been having the most infuriating problem with my internet. Oh, you young people are so refreshing, always in search of new identities. The problem is that I downloaded this program called Weather Monkey. At my age, it's important that I keep abreast of all meteorological developments. But now I'm starting a new book, and I can't focus on my work because the Weather Monkey keeps yelling the weather at me. I will do no such thing. That would be tantamount to murder. Brilliant and fantastic. Oh, yes, Samantha, you are a ticket. I would love to help you, but how do I know you again? Aha, now I remember you. If life were a good book, you'd be my favorite reoccurring character. Egypt? Well, why didn't you say that instead of chattering away about my internet problems? You found my book while you were in Egypt. The serendipity is as delectable as Chateaubriand smothered in lavender lemon juice. I am at your disposal. Oh, dear, I sign and send lots of things. Ah, a love story. Oh, break out the tissue papyrus, because when I'm done, there won't be a dry Horus in the house. Look it up, dear. Ramses II and Nefertari shared a love so vast the world could scarcely contain it. I'm talking about the kind of love you spell capital L, capital O, heart instead of a V, capital E. They stood side by side and ruled the world, but as they saw the years stretch out before them, they were keenly aware that a handful of decades would never cut it. They needed to be together always. And relevant. The ancient Egyptians believed that life was little more than a dress rehearsal for eternity. I've found records that they concocted a plan to be together forever, side by side. They foresaw a volatile future for their kingdom, and they were correct. They knew they would have to enact safeguards. That's why in 1904, when QV66, the so-called tomb of Nefertari, was found, her body was not there. If I were a gambling Hotchkiss, I'd say 60-40. For the same reason, I never carry my passport in my purse when I travel. Some things are too valuable to leave in a tempting place. I found myself quite lost in the South not too long ago, and I must admit that I've got a keen fascination for all things Southern Gothic. The cotillions, the manners, the history. I must say, it has given me a case of the intellectual vapors. And the food, red-eye gravy, shrimp and grits. Do you know that Southerners have 56 words for biscuit? Hush, child. I have a delicate constitution and mustn't be contradicted. Oh, yes, the team in which everyone died, is that the one? Oh, heavens, yes. It's deadly out there in the desert. Think about it. You're going out there in search of dead bodies. There must be a reason they're in favor of the area. Indeed not. That had already been discovered. They were searching for Nefertari's mummy. Oh, it's best you not concern yourself about that now, given your current location. It's a complicated issue. It makes no earthly sense, now does it? But still, the tombs have claimed enough lives to make a fool of logic. It was one of the most significant finds in archaeology. They call it the Sistine Chapel of Egypt. It's where my fascination with the royalty of Egypt was born. The color alone took my breath away. We think of ancient Egypt as being a subdued sand color, but it was a riotous display with all the visual delights of a midsummer gelato shop cooler case. They only found kneecaps, which supposedly means that her tomb was robbed. I do. What good is the mummy without the context? It's the placement in the tomb that makes the mummy valuable. There are two queens I find most fascinating in ancient Egypt, and for exactly the same reason. They were hidden. Hatshepsut is the first. Exactly. 20-some years of peace and stability, and after she dies, Thutmose III's ancient cronies try to erase her from the record. Jealousy, revenge, fear that his reign would never equal hers. You name it, but you can't keep a good woman down. Despite the efforts of Thutmose III's supporters, her legacy endured. In my opinion, she's the opposite. She was obsessively preserved in the historical record, but it was her tomb that was hidden. There was something strange about QV66. I think that might be why it is off limits to this day. To you and me, at the very least. There is a rumor that the tomb has a clue to the true location of Nefertari's mummy. Who knows? I'll tell you this. I didn't have time to read all of the hieroglyphs, but I noticed that the syntax was a little, shall we say, wonky? True, but it was almost as if Nefertari and Ramses II had their own language. I thought you were, Lily. Hotchkiss prank! Oh, you're such a good sport, Nadine. That's a little silly of her, don't you think? Curses may only be a figment of our overactive imaginations. There are more pressing things to worry about. Most Egyptologists die because the desert is inhospitable and positively crawling with diseases. Horrid molds and bacteria that have been breeding for thousands of years unchecked. And let's not forget the lack of structural integrity of most of the tombs. Oh dear, everybody dies, but life isn't worth living if you don't take a few risks. Although I guess I should stress that everyone dies much faster in the desert. Much, much faster. Yes, I have. He is December on my Men of Archaeology calendar. It existed the second I made it. Is he there with you? He is. Oh, I am not an advocate of pulpy romance novels, but if I were, I'd call that an archable trait. In chapter 1, he'd swagger into the excavation site, the picture of a rascal with his dusty leather jacket and decidedly European haircut, his cocky ne'er-do-well smirk displaying his perfectly white teeth, but by the end he'd be sweetly holding flowers and saying, "Professor Hotchkiss, I'm dying to discuss your latest publication." A colleague of mine has guilted me into editing her latest romance novel, and I must confess I cannot wait until the project is completed. Reading page after page is absolutely wreaking havoc on my metaphors. Anyway, what were we talking about? Abdullah, that's what. He's a cold-blooded hotshot with only one setting: success. Oh, sorry, I've also been helping my nephew break into the movie trailer business. Oh, Hotchkiss, why must you always burn the candle at both ends? He's a good archaeologist who knows Egypt inside and out. He could teach you a thing or two, just don't pick up the attitude. Oh, that old gem. Yes, who cares? Well, unless they're sending us a bill, does it matter? Oh, no, dear, you mustn't let those things bother you. Some of us have keen observational skills and a rigid adherence to the scientific method. And some of us have thought processes that best resemble a piñata explosion at a sugar-fueled child's birthday extravaganza. Either way, if it encourages people to witness the marvels of ancient Egypt in person, it's good work, in my opinion. You may as well be asking me if I believe Brian Abernathy Fortinbright exists. I don't know, and further I could only guess. Yes. Now, given the fact that there are 7+ billion people on Earth, it stands to reason that he may be a real person. And if we apply the Drake equation, we will find the astronomical, no wordplay intended, dear, number of habitable planets in the universe. It is possible that the Anunnaki may exist. But since the evidence is shaky at best, I am much more interested in the here and now. Some say if you look at the hieroglyphs, you'll see some of the figures holding flashlights. Well, not exactly. It's easy to see what you want to see. Seeing the tombs always made me feel quite simply famished. As the long days would pass, the murals would become quite simply delicious. Osiris would be holding the most wonderful caramel flans. Reeds would be chicken wings, and cipher for twisted flax would transmogrify into warm, straight out of the oven, garlic knots right before my eyes. My point is that you can see what you want to see, and what I want to see is that takeout menu for the Spicetown Speakeasy. I may have to put you on hold, dear. Just a moment. Hotchkiss here. I'd like baguette stuffed with mushroom and sautéed asparagus, and a beef jerky salad with caramel vinaigrette. Is that still you, Norma? Is this your first day at Spicetown? I'm Hotchkiss. We'll be talking to each other quite often. Would you kindly summarize your personality for me, for efficiency's sake? Oh, drat and drat. Well, perhaps I'll just be dull and prepare myself a curried waffle sandwich. Then you are in for a treat. I like my puzzles as tempting as the gooseberry pie from San Rios in Little Brazil, and as complex as the ginger lime sauce they lovingly smother it in. You should focus on what doesn't make sense. Look for a part of the pattern that has no earthly business being there. Of course I do. Yes, it's best we start with the boys. There's among her Kepchef, meaning among is with his strong arm. Oh dear, you get a piece of paper and a pen, and you write down whatever you like for the next 5 minutes. Pa Ray Hair Wenemeth. Ray is with his strong arm. Mary, beloved of Ray. Miriatum, beloved of Atum. Oh, these names! The best part about ancient Egyptian names is that there are no ancient Egyptians around to correct your pronunciation. Oh, come back when you're ready for the girls. Come back when you're ready for the girls. Merit Amen, the beloved of Amen. Henatawi, the mistress of 2 lands. So it seems favoritism isn't a modern invention. Nebatawi, the lady of 2 lands. Yes, Oh, my. Oh, my, yes. Let's see. A human and 3 animals. A jackal was Duwamatef, baboon, Hapi, and Kebasenuef. They also represented the 4 cardinal points, each protecting a sacred organ. I seem to remember that Hapi was the lungs. I thought you'd never ask, do your worst. That is not an easy one. I do recall hearing that Nefertari's cat's name meant destiny. That could be a good place to start. Bye, dear. Goodbye. Hotchkiss out.